What's up? I'm Noah Barth, and I'm in your guys' ethics class with Azur Crispino. You may not recognize me. I did buzz my hair about a month ago, so if you don't recognize me, that could be it, or maybe you don't recognize me in general, but that's cool too. So, anyways, today I will be talking about my service learning project. And let me just preface, I do not use Zoom. I made a video right before this for my economics class, so I think I know what to do, but here we go. I'm gonna share my screen. Hold on one second. Here we go. All right. So we got my presentation here. We got my PowerPoint. So, like I said, Noel Barth, and I'm here to talk about my volunteering. So I volunteered with the Bee Cave Elementary Library, which is just an elementary school in Lakeway. I live pretty close to Lakeway, so it was just a good place for me to go. And so originally well, the librarian and I, Miss Shaney, I was gonna pull up on like 2 Fridays and just work 3 hours, just read with the kids, just discuss books with them, stuff like that. But then, the pandemic hit, so I had to adapt. And so we linked up and we decided that we would uh, do an online book club on Tuesdays and Fridays. So that was about 40 minutes for me, 45 minutes. So the kids, the assigned reading was Where the Red Fern Grows, which I've actually never read, but we'll get around to that. So it's Where the Red Fern Grows, which I'd say probably like half of them we're doing that, and then the other half we're doing um, just whatever book they felt like doing or reading, I guess. And so yeah, the we just talk about the books, and I'd ask them questions, just kind of get them thinking. They weren't super in depth, just kind of like, what's your favorite blank and why? It, I mean, the questions don't really matter. It's just all about the why for me. So I would just, no matter what I asked, I would always ask why. So, they would have to give some sort of justification, you know, beef up the answer a bit. So, anyways, here's onto the philosophy part. The main three people that came to mind during my time was Aristotle, Immanuel Kant, and Thomas Hobbes. But the steak and potatoes of my volunteering experience from a philosophical part or standpoint is Aristotle. So the absolute main dish for me was the three kinds of ends, um, which, if you guys remember, the first one's like, I know in class we used a working out example or to explain the three types of ends. So it was like, the first one is something that you don't like to do, but it's a good thing. The second end was something that's just inherently good, and then the third one is something that you enjoy doing, and it leads to other goods. So that was just a quick paraphrase, but that's those are the three kinds of ends. And so, like I said earlier, I've never read Where the Red Fern Grows. I don't read books really. I'll read articles here and there of typically just sports or whatever, but um, I don't read books. I just don't. My bad. Um, but the kids, um, the kids, they love reading, and reading is something. If it's good for just development and just working at your brain and everything like that. So I'd say the kids would fit into the third end where it's good plus other goods. um Reading, I would say, just is is the second one, just it's inherently good. And the first one, which is, something you don't like to do, but it's still good, I guess would kind of be me. Um, just because, I don't read. And just an interesting thought for me was e- every single meeting, I would tell the kids, hey, yeah, you guys are doing great. Keep it up. Reading is so amazing. And so, just kind of that thought where I don't do it, but I'm promoting it. It's just an interesting thought, and I feel like it kind of relates to the three kinds of ends. Um, yeah, so that was just a very interesting thing that I just noticed. But, yeah. So then the next one is just kind of something added on. I disagree with Aristotle's idea of virtue. I think it's far too limited, restricted, elitist, all that stuff, and I feel like um, in Aristotle's view, a modern day teacher would probably not be able to be virtuous, seeing how they're always at work and they don't get paid well. I mean, that's just two of the requirements. Because you got to be wealthy and have a ton of free time, and teachers, I'd say, generally don't fit that bill. Um, just because they don't get paid well and they're always working, like I just said. So I would just disagree with Aristotle's view on virtue, and then, but I would agree um, with Aristotle's idea of a utility friend. So just through this time um, volunteering, and I guess just kind of at the moment I am in my life, I'm trying to build out my resume and just get a bunch of references and just cast a wide net so I'll be good. And so I gained a utility friend through this time at the school with Machine, the librarian. So now I've got she's super resourceful to me, seeing how she's someone like she's a reference I gained from volunteering, and she's not from her work, not from my school, nothing like that. Um, so yeah, I just think I can use her as a reference now, which would fit the bill exactly for a utility friend. So on to the next philosopher. So Aristotle was, he was big on my mind for this. The next philosopher was Thomas Hobbes, and it was just I was just always so curious. It was just kind of a question that was always on my mind, but it was how would an education system like we have today fit in with like how would it exist if we were in Hobbes's um, definition of a state of nature, which is pretty much just pure chaos and anarchy, total anarchy all the time, where you always have to be on edge. Um, I mean, I personally, I would, if I had to take a guess, I would say it's, the education system as we know it now would not exist. I feel like it would just be, or I think it would just kind of fall back into primal stuff where it's parents teaching kids how to hunt, and it's all just about survival at that point, not necessarily trying to better yourself philosophically or mentally, stuff like that. It's just kind of we need to eat, stuff like that. Hunt, fish, cook, whatever it is. I just don't think our education system would at all hold up if we're in Hobbes's state of nature. And so the third philosopher that was on my mind was Immanuel Kant, and for his ideas in my volunteering, I was thinking about how he says, don't use people as just means. Oh man, I'm not getting it exactly on, but I might be. Don't use them just as means to an end, but yeah, treat people as people, not just something that you use. And so that relates directly to mine because I was not looking forward to this project at all. When it was first announced, I was like, "Oh man, this sucks." But you know, I started it and I was like, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna get this done and I'm just gonna meet with the kids, talk about some books I've never read. That's it, done. But throughout my, oh, sorry if you hear that. That was my roommate closing the door, but whatever. Um, so throughout my time, I actually enjoyed it, even though books, don't read them. And yeah, I'm leading a book club, yet you know I don't know anything about the books. Um, but yeah, so it was just as my time went on, I increasingly loved you know, leading the book club, and the kids were great, and they were pretty smart. They were just really cool. It was a great time, and so as my time progressed, I started using them less as means and more like people, which I think Kant would be quite proud of. Yeah, so that's going to do it for the main philosophy part, and that'll bring me to my conclusion. So, like I was just saying with Kant, it was a great time, and if I can still do it, I mean, the school year is wrapping up, but they might have something in the summer or something like that. It's definitely something I would consider. It was a really great time, um, and so there were plenty of realizations um, from a philosophical standpoint, such as like w- one of them just right off the dome was. Crito, the book, the story Crito, whenever Socrates is talking about, how education, why the state's great, and they give our kids education. I was just like, oh, this is what he's talking about right here. I'm just some guy that's just going to, kind of help kids learn a bit, I guess. Um, and it was just it was just a couple things like that that just popped in here and there. And the last thing I'd like to say is, and it's definitely probably the most important thing I told the kids was in one of our meetings, we were just talking, and I think we were talking about like how um, the question was like it was something about emotions and why do you feel this way? How do you how are you feeling about this section of the book? Um, it was something about that, how do your emotions make you feel? And then um, I'm really I'm trying to remember what it was. It was something like that. Um, and so they just kind of had to explain, how they were feeling in this section and why. Once again, the why were they feeling this way? Um, and so I remember, after some of the kids volunteered to answer the question, I I was like, "Hey," and it was towards the end of the meeting, anyways. So I was like, "Hey, yeah." So I was wrapping it up. I was, telling them, "Great job, keep it up. Read these chapters um, for this week." And then I said, "And if there's one thing that you guys, remember from my time here uh, with you, is that don't just read don't just read the pages and then just accept it. Read your stuff, but then actively think about it. If you need to pause and sit there and think, that's fine. That's absolutely that's great. Um, and so I just always I told them always think, and that it would be something that they're building on now, so that in their future, it's just a skill that they have. Um, and so, I just think that was a great thing to tell the kids. Um, but yeah, and you know, throughout my time, if you look at that great meme with the Toy Story where it's philosophy ever is a banger, but it's true. Um, it just inherently is. I wasn't expecting it, but it is. So yeah, that's gonna do it for my presentation. Let me hold on, I'm gonna stop the sharing. Okay, back to my head now. So yeah, that's gonna do it for my presentation on my service learning. If you have any questions, go ahead and fire them off and I will try my best to answer them. And good luck on finals, everyone. We got this. All right. Thank you. So long.